Good morning and welcome to a very snowy St Moritz. We're in the Engadin Valley, high in the Swiss Alps, and the weather gods have turned against us. After a week where it was almost too warm to use the track at all in training, we have got a snow race in prospect for race 7 of the BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. Martin Haven and John Morgan here trackside, and John, whatever the weather, this is still a fabulous location to come and compete, but this long track is going to be very tricky to master now in these conditions.
Yeah, we have a little bit of a high snow involvement. You don't see it here in our POV, but look at the track record here. This is from a couple weeks ago at the start, and the start up here, get in, get down, this long gradual straightaway on this historic track that presents us with all these names on these curves that have been around for 70, 80 years. And the first one you're going to see is Wall, this long straightaway. Tough to keep the sled in the perfect angle without creating a lot of friction. Two-corner combination, snake. And boy, the snake was tricky yesterday in the two-man event. Sunny. Very deceptive G-force out of this curve. Nash and Dixon, another two-corner combination, a longer straightaway in between. And now onto the most famous curve in the world, Horseshoe. Exit with a slingshot effect, you got a chance at the bottom. Look at the names, Telephone, Devil's Dyke, Nameless, Bridge, Street. These are all names of the curves that were given 80, 100 years ago by the members of the St Moritz Bobsled Club. Bridge, 85, maybe close to 90 miles an hour down here at Gunter Sachs into Portago and the Martineau curve. The Martineau curve named after the founder of the St Moritz Bobsled Club back in 1927. Finish down the most historic venue that we come to, Martin. It's a privilege to do commentary from this place.
It is indeed a joy and a delight, but the weather may not be a delight for everybody. Still a big crowd on hand. If you plan to come here, you're going to come here no matter what the Swiss gods throw at you. And there is, well, a view of what we can expect today. Our start list, I beg your pardon, our World Cup points list is headed by Germany's Max Arndt from Francesco Friedrich, the man who won the opening 2 races of the season. Rico Peter of Switzerland lies in 3rd place. Nick Cunningham 10th in points now. Teammate Stephen Holcomb 24 points back, trying to get into the top 10 as well. Why? Because the top 10 in the World Cup points are the top 10 in the start list for the World Championships. Air temperature hovering around 0. Track temperature ditto. The track workers have been out since the snow started about 5 a.m. trying to make sure that it remains as clear as possible for all of our 29 sleds. Nico Walter kicks things off. Had a great race yesterday in the 2-man. Look to for speed from Lamin Deen of Great Britain. Very quick in training, as was John Jackson. Benny Maier, great for Austria yesterday in the 2-man. In the 4-man training, Loic Kosterg from France went quickly. So too, a couple of wild cards maybe. From further down the field, Dominik Dvorak from the Czech Republic was quick. In the only day of training, there was 1 day for 2-man, 2 runs, and 1 day for 4-man, 2 runs for them as well. So limited experience for those who weren't here in the Europa Cup races a week earlier. And as you can see, the snow is settling as fast as they can sweep it on the track, and our track workers, as ever, will be working like Trojans to try and ensure that the track is as fair and as raceable as possible. And for the jury at the top and at the bottom of the track, they've already heard from the 4 runners that visibility is okay.
Yeah, it's a good
It's not wet, is it? It's
no, they're all saying this will be a good winter race. You're saying the snow is not a heavy accumulative snow, and there's no vision problem, which is a great asset to the drivers coming down the track. And we'll still see speeds of 85 miles an hour here today. Doesn't sound like much, but 85 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, you tried doing it on the highway in a snowstorm, and then let's see how fast it feels.
They'll have no braking issues though, Martin, as you see in a highway today at any place around here.
No. Well, they don't have 2 tons of all-up weight.
There's the challenge. See that? He's on the exit of the curve. Look at the accumulation of the straightaway. This is the challenge that this crew has got for today, is to keep the snow out of the straightaways.
Well, that's going to make everything very skiddy, so you'll see the sleds moving around a lot more than we might expect from a 4-man. Race 7 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. The penultimate race of the season and the final warm-up for the World Championships that start next week in Austria. Nico Walter of Germany, the first crew on the ice.
Yeah, he had a pretty interesting experience in Salt Lake City, Park City last time out. He was 11th in the first four-man race, and he won the next four-man race the next night. Little weather problems back in Park City.
He's had 2 four-man wins this season. He was 4th here last year, and the way he's driving, he could well be a podium finisher. Well, we'll see a lot of that, I think.
Yeah, that's a real tricky entry to the curve right there.
And that corner is always famous for throwing sleds sideways.
Real cohesive team has to get in, get down on that sled to avoid skids like that around curve 1. That can cost you a race placing very easily.
Through Sunny Corner, 88.6 kilometers an hour. That's 55 miles an hour. And then heading down through Nash and Dixon to Horseshoe. Look at the G loading, 6.2 G through Horseshoe. That's massive, but it feels so much smoother than other tracks.
Listen how quiet this is, too, compared to a natural or to an artificial track.
Speed building now, 130 kilometers an hour. We saw 144, 45, 44.9. That's good speed in the snow. That is 90 miles an hour, nailed on.
Oh, 90 miles an hour. Okay, we were wrong. We said 85. 105.91. That's only 5,200s, 4,200s off the track record.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's going to get that much ahead of it. The four-man's is going to be closer here. They don't get as many problems like we saw yesterday. The two-mans had a lot of problems at the exit of Horseshoe. This is where the problem is. Get down before the first curve. Don't move, because if you move a little bit around the first curve, this is what you have. But well, down here,
it cost him a 1/10 of a second or so.
Little tap here. This is up out of before the Devil's Dyke section of the track. That little tap. You won't see as many problems with the four-mans as you see with the two-mans. But if we do see a problem, it'll be major.
Yeah, once the big old bus gets sideways, takes a lot of bringing back. Well, next up, the injured Francesco Friedrich. He's hobbling around with a 2-inch tear in his adductor. The 25-year-old won the first 2 four-man races of the season and the first 3 two-man races. Nice load.
That's pretty good.
But he too gets a little sideways.
Yeah, doesn't have the speed of his teammates. Only has 49.4. And the other team, the German team, at 50.7. Yeah. And that will show up here, should at the next clock.
Through the left-hander at wall, and then this snake combination.
Watch the back end of the sled. See, the two-mans, they got a little skittish in there yesterday. These buses, as you refer to them, Mark, don't get in as many skids.
Well, especially these yellow ones. They remind me of North American school buses. Yeah. Big skids all the way down to Horseshoe.
Nice 6 Gs. 6 Gs, they said there in Horseshoe.
Yeah. Tonight, it just doesn't feel like it. It's such a smooth corner.
Yeah,
101 kilometers an hour. His teammate 105.9.
Ooh, and that's...
Well, he's in the green. He's still in front by 400ths of a second.
Remember they were being shown, then all of a sudden the red numbers show up. Should be about 1,200ths off probably with that way that's skid 15. Yeah, he looked a little rough down there. Nameless tree, didn't look like smooth transitions anyway. That's where he went from the green to the red. Otherwise, you know, it's not like you could really identify it where things go wrong with these four-mans that come a lot straighter. But they're happy.
They are happy with that. 5:18 start as well. Friedrich clearly feeling that he can give it some beans at the top.
Now watch the heads. This is up top above Horseshoe. Look at this little skid on the wrong side of Horseshoe,
but
which
then
means
it skids the other way and comes back. So that suited him quite well.
Runners, look at this. The check. Now, does he get through here without any part touching the take on a telephone? Slingshot effect on the bottom is what we describe. And again, this is a very wounded team. If that driver wasn't so wounded, they'd probably be down 14, 15 start time.
Well, the start record 5:12 set last week in the Europa Cup races. And we'll see the team that did that coming up shortly. First, though, Alexei Stulnev, best four-man result of his season this year. 6th position in Park City, Utah, where we had double four-man race weekend, of course. Last year, only 13th.
The cohesion of a four-man bobsled start. There's another problem. And there's a real problem. And now he'll straighten it out. But that is sayonara for your time at the bottom part of the track. Look how low he is. We can see some shoulders back there, number 2, number 3.
Yeah,
you don't want to see that.
Big old boy.
Yeah,
I'm not sure he's got his legs in quite the
I don't know.
too.
You should not see him there. Great pictures by our crew. It really showed the aerodynamic profile from the crew. So important on a track where you attain 145 kilometer speeds in the bottom.
88.3 at Sunny. That's the second fastest speed, although he's 2,700 back.
Late there, exit telephone.
105.2, faster than Friedrich as well.
Might eat into that 3,300 deficit. No, still bleeding.
Top speed at the bottom, 144.9 from Nico Walter, our current leader. And the Russian sled, 144.0. That's quicker than Friedrich was as well, but the gap is wide. Third place at the moment, but 4,600's back. Can't see him being third at the end of this run.
He lost 2,500s at the start. 4,600s is a lot of time on this track, on this day, to be back from the leader.
See how the visor on the driver is clear, but the brakemen are really fogged up because they're sitting there panting and puffing. The drivers always have a double layer to try and stop
They also got that Rain-X and stuff on there too. Watch her on the first curve.
Yeah.
It's so meticulous to get around there. The people get around there with a good start time, meticulous, have a chance.
So hard to judge that tiny little. There's no pressure. It's not an actual corner. It's just a sort of wedge of ice.
Oh, the Germans are off quickly.
Fast getaway from Max Arndt. Third place last year in this race. And not a great load, but he manages to hold it.
Give him the best start. The world champion of this track in 2013. His driving ability. He's one of the best in the field on these big buses.
Fastest start so far, best first corner velocity so far, and as you say, he was the world champion here 3 years ago.
Don't let him get away here.
He's also our World Cup points leader. Only one win this season, but he has not been out to the top 3.
So consistent. He lives for 4-man. He uses the 2-man as a warm-up. And he was pretty good in the warm-up yesterday.
Wasn't he, though? Yeah.
24, that's a lot.
106.9, a kilometre an hour ahead of Nico Walter.
He could get away from the other 2 German sleds
He is.
by 3/10, 4/10 here. He's going to be 3,500s in the lead.
He could lead Walter by half a second at this rate. Walter's top speed, 144.9, and Max Arndt, 144.7.
Considering the conditions, this is down near track record.
Is a 5:49. He gets a 5:63.
1,400s off the track record, which
in heavy snow. That's not bad.
That's not bad. Wow. Boy, we see. Now, it's not good to be the first guy to go down the track. It's not good for the second or third guy. I was told by Christian Reich, commentator next door for the Swiss TV and former Olympic silver medalist, the place you want to be is 5 through 8. This sled here was the 4th sled down. So 4 through 8 maybe is the way. Exit of Horseshoe was perfect.
Max Arndt doesn't care about the start draw so much, does he? He still works his magic. He takes the lead by 2,800. Well, here is our start record-setting team. Lamin Deen, John Baines, Joel Fearon, and Andy Matthews. 5:12 getaway in the Europa Cup race last weekend. Let's see what the British team can do.
This is the window you want to be in. This is one of the best starting teams in the world. Let's see if they didn't get down in cohesion. Nope.
5:24 start.
Oh, that's really 49.3, and it's just.
Well, Lamin raced here last year in the 4-man, 23rd spot, didn't make a second heat.
You know, any coach up there, just watch this, going to go back and tell their teams, get in one step earlier. Because these guys ran too far.
Because it's such a gradual start, the temptation is so great to run right the way down into turn 1.
The only team that we've seen get through the first curve without any issues is the guy in the lead. Ooh, and he's on the lip.
Ooh, brings it down.
Oh, he's so far back. They had big hopes for this British team. How they got a 5:24 start. I mean, you can have a good time and then skid around that first curve, but
big skid there as well. 102.3 the speed at Devil's Dyke, really low. 142.9, again, that's 3 kilometers an hour off the pace.
Well, so much for being in the 5 to 8 position for this
1 second back.
Didn't I say the Russians being 4,600s back was a lot? This is a little perplexing.
29 sleds in the field. We're going to send nearly a third of our teams home after the first heat.
Listen what they say.
Lamin Deen may be in the danger zone.
See what they say. Well, they got to know what happened here. Every guy in the sled's feeling this. Bang. The last thing you want to do is to feel a bang out of curve one. And up here high in the horseshoe, well.
Great height, avoided the wood.
Watch them come down. Watch the heads, the transition. Look at it, they all, the aerodynamic profile. Pretty good there, but disaster.
Just skidding around too much. Next up is Simone Bertazzo of Italy. 33-year-old from Pieve de Cadore finished in 5th position in the 4-man race last year. Used to be a big 2-man driver, but now the 4-man is really working for him.
Well, start as expected, off the pace, but they got around the first curve pretty good.
Best result this year, 7th place in Altenburg. This race last year marked high water in his 4-man career.
4100s needs to stop the bleeding. He should definitely be inside Lamin Deen. See how high he gets here in horseshoe.
Below horseshoe is where he'll really start to come on, gets a moderately high line. Little tap there on the exit of telephone, Shamrock.
Yeah, this looks like about 7,500s behind him and Stolnev at the Russian. He might be inside the Russian though.
88.2, good speed. That's 2nd fastest. 105.8, that's 3rd fastest.
65, this is good. This is going to leave him in the top 4.
Starting to motor nicely at the bottom of the hill.
Great.
0.7 back.
6th best start time, 4th best at the bottom. That'll definitely put him inside that top 20 mark.
Well, in this weather, it's such a lottery. If you manage to control the sled in the first couple of corners, then you're a quarter of a second in your pocket. You can make mistakes later down when the speed grows, but they haven't trained in the snow or on this temperature ice, John, so this is a venture into the unknown for every driver.
Well, good lines on the exit of the slingshot horseshoe curve, and Simone, deficient start time. Little problem there on the exit of telephone, but pretty good run.
Max Arndt of Germany, our race leader, from teammate Nico Walter. And here is Nick Cunningham from the USA. Had a disappointing 2-man race weekend. James Reed on the back of the 2-man sled for the first time in his career. 15th place last year for Cunningham. Gets in early, and so does the team.
25, 6th best start, speed, 50, not bad. And last time Cunningham was here a couple years ago, he had this sled in 3rd place at the end of the first run, crashed down to the tree curve. He wasn't the only guy to crash that day down the tree curve, but he said one of the most disappointing races of his life because he knew he had a chance to win a medal, and not only a bronze, he thought he could have snuck up into a silver that day. And so maybe he'll have a chance to get it back today, but not with a tap like that.
Question coming in at IBSF announcers saying, from Ken Childs in Kentucky, saying, why do you think there are so many ties on this track, John? It's so long, we expect ties on a shorter track.
Well, that's just the way this 100-year-old facility makes it exciting. This looks like 6th place all the way. Speed. Yep. Oh, he's a second
down
back.
To 7th behind Lamin Deen, 142.6.
Not the same sled he drove here a couple years ago. Brian Scheimer, I think that shake of his head just told us what he thinks about it.
15th last year. He might end up in the same sort of position in the first heat here. There are so many big gaps.
I didn't hear much, not much conversation. There's a little tap up here. This is between top of the track where you just can't. You can't make those. It's that little minute tap here. And watch the bag. Watch this here, Nash and Dixon. Before Dixon, he hits that. That's 2,500s.
Yeah.
Because that's before you accelerate your point into horseshoe.
Alexander Kasjanov, 33-year-old Russian, claimed his first ever World Cup win in 4-man in Park City, Utah, just a few weeks ago. 9th here in St Moritz last year.
Start good, getting around the curve. 21, not great, but that's adequate for him. 49.9, that's decent. This is a good driver. He's had a good couple weeks. He won his first ever gold medal in four-man bobsled. Now sits 4th in standings, but he got 1st and 5th in that double four-man event Park City weekend.
He had silver medal in Lake Placid, didn't he? And then the gold in Park City. And his two-man driving's really on form as well this season.
Well, considering his start time, he's hanging in there. Let's see if he can exit slingshot. Yes.
4th place on the split times at the moment. 104.6, not bad speed.
Yeah, this is a top 4 run.
Big skid. This is where they find how much the snow is affecting the back end of the sled as it wags around.
So this will be a 4th run, 4th place.
Yep.
61, well, maybe, yeah, no, he should have enough to get inside Bertazzo. Barely, though.
Ahead of teammate Alexei Stulnev and ahead of Bertazzo. So 300s ahead of Bertazzo, 600s ahead of Alexei Stulnev.
Well, I don't know. These 3 German sleds that are on the top of the field there, I don't know. Is anybody else going to get in that mix? And they're in there by a lot. Yeah, you know, there's 15, 2800s, 1500s, big separations. Ken Childs talked about how close things are. Well, things aren't close out here today.
Yeah, but then we've only had our top 7 or 8 sleds, so when we get down into the 20s, we'll see. May well have
there's
a
our
lot
skid.
more.
You saw that skid you mentioned.
And that's what the snow does. It acts as a lubricant. Green light and go. They were ready the moment the green light went. They don't want even 1 flake extra of snow underneath the runners. Just
they're still getting in the sledder on that first curve. 50.1 kilometer speed's pretty good, but
and he didn't have the big skid either.
No.
That could work for him.
But the number 2 guy was still moving around as they went through that first curve. I don't know, that friction like that. Well, see, disastrous day yesterday for Just Cripps.
Didn't make the cut at all.
And I think that was runners.
21st in the four-man race last year as well. Didn't make the cut here last year in four-man. Best result of the season, bronze medal in Lake Placid in the four-man race. Ooh, little tap.
Another tap there. I get away with that. Devils tight.
Speed is good, 105.1.
Here comes in the tree.
But he slipped from 4th at the start down to 6th position on split times.
Gunner Sachs. Well, this is a big hit.
And a big skid as it bounces off the wall, and that's just putting the
2 kilometers down, too.
Yeah. And he'll have lost more to the line. 7th place ahead of Lamin Deen and Nick Cunningham.
He lost a lot. That hit down there out of Gunner Sachs cost him dearly. If he would have had 15 more hundreds, he still would have been behind Stulnev and Bertazzo.
Yeah.
But he should be at 4th best start time, 7th position. If you got the 4th best start, you should maintain 4 at the bottom. Does he touch the lip? Look at the heads.
Look at the view. So it's like looking in a snow globe. Fantastic pictures from the hypermotion camera. And down here, it's not just a hit. What's the skid that then the back breaks away? You know,
142 kilometer speed. The Germans were high for 144s.
144 high. Next up, Switzerland's Rico Peter. 1 in Whistler in the 2-man. He's had 3 4-man podiums this year. But completely rattled yesterday in the 2-man race.
Yeah. On his home track for him to be like 18th, 19th place. Look at that, though.
Oh, just got away with it, just.
26, that's not the normal start that he gets, though.
No,
and no speed, 48.9. No. I don't know, that's suspect.
Sled tracking around underneath him. He's already feeling now, oh, this is really skiddy. This is where you've got to recalibrate where you're making your steers.
Well, home track advantage, he didn't have any. He only had 4 trips of practice like everybody else, but, you know, he wasn't here. Christmas time, he was, a couple of trips. Ooh. They didn't have any Swiss championships. They had a lot of problems building this track. So he went to North America.
And a huge skid there coming down off Horseshoe.
Ooh, he's not himself. We spoke to his coach, Wolfgang Stampfer, last night, and Wolfgang just said just wasn't himself yesterday in 2-man.
Horrible. He is really going to struggle to make the cut. 11th last year. It's not a track that's very often gone well.
Oh, he's going to make the cut.
Do you know what? I'm not sure.
Oh, how much you want to bet? He's going to be inside the top 8 here, probably. 7th. Yeah, he's safely in the field. But that was... The start was off for him. He's usually been doing pretty good at the start. That's what he says.
Nobody's got much to say at the bottom, have they? They really don't.
This is a weekend, pack it up and go off to Innsbruck for him.
Well, in replay, which corner do you want to go to? Everyone had a mistake. Look at this.
Into Nash Dixon. That's the same thing Cunningham did. That's costly.
And off Horseshoe. Haven't seen such a big skid through Telephone and Shamrock. Snow continues to come as Max Arndt leads Nico Walter and Francesco Friedrich. And hey, we're not even in Germany. 10 down, 19 sleds to come and 10 places left in the race. Oskars Kibermanis, best of 5th place in 4-man racing. That was Altenberg, the season opener. Since then, it's all gone into a bit of a tailspin.
Should be a good start, yes. 5:18, second best start. You can see the velocity.
But it's not the start that's the issue, is it? His splits go 2nd, 8th, 10th, 14th, 19th. He just loses time all the way down the track.
That aerodynamic profile there, we saw some shoulders at number 2. Through Nash Snake, okay, Sonny. Can he get through Nash and Dixon here without a skid? Watch the back end of the sled. A lot of pressure in the middle part of the curve.
Not bad, good line into Horseshoe.
Ooh, really low there. I don't know if that was the speed line. That's the lowest line I think we've seen in the most famous bobsled curve in the world.
A couple of little skids down here as well.
Ooh, right there. And he's still holding on to a 4th.
A big skid as well.
Speed, gonna need 143 at least. Well, he doesn't, just under it. So he's gonna fall back. He's gonna be 4th. Yeah, that's pretty good for him. They gotta be happy. Coach gotta be happy with that. This is the most positive trip down the track we've seen
since the season started. Yeah. 4th place in the first heat.
And this athlete here, the Latvians, have a lot of promise. And 22 years old, 3rd year on this tour, probably one of the better pushing drivers in the field. A little low here though.
But does he get the exit that he wants? Is that why he's taken that line? He gets cleanly out of Horseshoe, and you carry that speed. That's vital for the rest of the track.
He's got to be happy with that.
He needs that positive mental attitude. Well, next up, a man who trained really well. Benny Maier had a good day in the 2-man yesterday as well. He was 8th here last year. He's only had 3 World Cup races in the 4-man. Best was 9th place in Koenigsegg. That's the only top 10 finish he's posted.
Oh, great start times yesterday. He's very impressed. Talked to his dad last night. Ooh, they got an issue there.
Oh, they're in, and they're in neatly as well. 5:20, that's good. Not bad at all.
50.6 is awesome speed.
Wolfgang Stampfer was saying Marcus Sammer is the big ace in the hole. Yeah,
and he's not that big of a guy.
And we talked to him about Sammer's driving. He said, yeah, he's a fantastic starter. We keep trying to get him to drive, but he just isn't getting it, and that's a little dink that he could have done without.
Up there, that's a major problem. Up on the snake curves, the entrance to snake eliminates a lot of speed. But
5th place at the moment, still on splits. Out of Horseshoe.
Nice.
It's a nice, quiet drive, isn't it? Very undramatic so far.
This is
one little dink.
Didn't we say last night Stampfer had a lot to do with this sled?
Yeah.
His dad rebuilt a lot of it.
Still a top 5 run from Benny Maier.
This is great for us. This is awesome. This young kid going into Innsbruck next week, his home track. Impressive.
4th at the line.
5th best start. There's his dad on the right. I mean, they gotta be so excited. He's a 22-year-old kid too.
Yep.
And his start time
21.
Boy, you look at him and you think, there's no way this is a powerful starter. He's got the Max Arndt type build.
Yep.
You know, and impressive.
400s out of the medals.
But this, what do you have done?
Yeah.
Without.
Well,
that was worth a
10th.
10th minimum.
Yep.
Maybe more. And down here,
little dink as well.
Ooh, the two-mans would have bounced off that. The four-man just plows through it.
But that's your 400s right there. Just that bit of ice coming out of the wall.
Well, at least he's got a chance.
Nikita Zaharov from Russia, 6th position last year. Didn't do two-man yesterday. That was Max Andrianov took his spot in the team. His four-man result this year, he was 10th in Lake Placid. Nice load. Oh, and just holds the skid, just gets away with that.
Those velocity, though, according to our telemetry, 49.
Yep.
Zakharov, like you said, didn't compete yesterday. Andrianov in.
Mixing and matching, trying to get the right lineup for the two-man and the four-man worlds. And this is the big challenge now for a coach, where you've got 4 drivers. Which 2 or 3 are you going to take? 1 kilometre an hour slower than Benny Maier. He started 10th fastest, but he's up to 8th on the splits.
Ooh, a little unsure of himself. You can see the runners before horseshoe. He was checking the runners to try and find that get out early line into horseshoe.
Speed is not great. 103 kilometres an hour. That's 10th rather than 5th position speeds. Still in 8th.
Late there. That cost him that. Still not doing bad. I think the track's got a little more speed in it for these sleds. Nice. Pretty good.
Traditionally, of course,
100th ahead of his teammate Stolnev.
Traditionally, we'd see the sled starting to polish up the frost off the track, and so it would be less sticky, less grippy, and would start to speed up as you get past the first 5 or 6.
I'd say that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like the last 2 sleds, I think there's a little fast window here that the track, you know, the things have been sort of smoothed out. Look at his runner tips here. See that little play, that little minute steering, and then he gets down here in the horseshoe, and is he comfortable coming off the exit of horseshoe?
Yep, looks like he got
pretty
a good
good.
exit. He looks fairly happy with that. Wrapped up warm against the cold. Next up, Stephen Holcomb. What stunning speed the Americans have produced in two-man and four-man with Holcomb. Last year, only 14th though in the four-man race here.
He's got to get a 25-22 start here and have a chance.
Settle nice and
25.
gently. Frank Del Duca
decent.
lowered himself in at 2 so gingerly.
And this guy yesterday was in a speed planet that no one else was on. He had 144 kilometers, no one else had 143. Second run, 143, and a lot of teams had 142. But I think everybody understands that Holcomb still knows how to drive a sled.
Oh, skid there and bounces
skid here too.
and clatters the wall, low line into horseshoe. He's got to rescue that and does.
He's going to struggle here the rest of the way down to stay in the top 10.
103.9, he was 10th, he was 8th, he's now down to 9th on the splits. He needs that speed at the bottom.
10th.
Oh, another skid.
Well, he doesn't have control like he did yesterday. He's got more skids here.
Another skid down the straightaway, 142.9, that's nothing like he was producing yesterday.
He was faster yesterday in the two-man, 11th. 10th best start, look at his coach. If he gets a 10th best start, he should get into 6th or 7th. But that was not the drive. You know, and he's more of a four-man specialist than two-man, and yesterday, the last couple times out, we've seen him drive the two-man quite a bit better.
He's only had 2 top 10 finishes in four-man this year.
Well, he got a little behind the 8-ball in Park City with the weather, but here, Nash Dixon, look at the skid he's got. That's so unlike this Olympic champion, Steve Holcomb.
Yeah.
And here, too, in the horseshoe, nobody's had that type of line.
So what was the runner choice to go with a fatter runner that's
He didn't, there's no fat
fat?
runners. He's got one set of runners. That was it. So there's no double choice there.
Next up, in a borrowed sled, Chris Springer, Canada. Didn't do any four-man races before North America. Had a two-man win in Whistler. 9th place in Park City, his best four-man result of his brief season. Oh, just got away with that as well.
Pretty good aerodynamic profile there. We see somebody in the back a little bit, but when you got a borrowed sled like this, you got to try and, you know, fit yourself in there. It's not like trying on a pair of shoes and you walk away with something that, you know, I like this, it's comfortable. This is a borrowed sled. We got to fit into it. So to see him this pretty good profile like that, that says that.
Well, the shoulders you can see are Lascelles Brown and Sam Jaguar, who are both as broad almost as they are tall. 15th spot off a 10th fastest start. Oh, and a hit there isn't going to help either.
Late, last two curves. But again, he's probably had 2 practice trips with this sled.
Only 2, exactly so.
119 backs, he's going to be 15th, and I think he's going to be right in the bubble to make the cut.
Yeah, he's going to be in the danger zone. A minute 7 down the track.
10th best start, 15th best at the bottom. Cunningham finally sees somebody that he beats.
Yeah, I think he's in trouble to make the cut.
Yeah, there's some pretty quick sleds coming up.
I mean, he's nearly a quarter of a second behind Cunningham. That's a lot of real estate that sleds can drop into.
Okay, oh, look at this early out of the Nash-Dixon curve. And does he look at the back end skidding as he goes into right here? This is, these type of taps are just time erasers.
Trying to figure out whose sled it is.
Swiss sled. We've seen that sled before.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's Swiss. Max Arndt leads a German top 3 with 15 of our 29 sleds down. Well, here are our start record holders. I beg your pardon, they're not. It's John Jackson, Brad Hall, Bruce Tasker and Ben Simons. 4 drivers in this sled.
That's an awesome.
So Great Britain have 5 drivers on tour.
Well, they are down in a fire drill way. Pretty good.
521, not bad start.
Velocity 50.2.
That is good.
Now you're seeing some shoulders back there, though. That looks like number 2 and 3.
Yeah, Bruce's shoulders
3 guys
wedged into the sled.
Yeah, they should be down lower than that. You look at the German teams, you can't even see those guys back there.
Well, Bradley Hall and Bruce Tasker raced the 2-man sleds yesterday. Ben Simons on the back of Jacko's sled was behind Bruce Tasker. They didn't make the cut, unfortunately. Bruce's dad and his girlfriend are here watching. First time his dad's been at a track.
Oh, he hit before the takeout of 12. First sled before telephone. First sled we've seen do that, and that's not really good for your time.
6 at the start. He's now slipped to 13th place. That's where Lamin Deen is at the moment. Needs 140.
Good lines there.
3.
That's pretty good speed here, though.
Okay, aiming towards the top 10. Is he going to get to 12th at the line? 13th place, right ahead of Lamin Deen by 0.08 of a second.
That should get him in the field. That'll get it. The other guys, Lamin Deen, Cunningham, and Spring will be looking at everybody else coming down here. But that was some issues at the start.
Well, there is John Jackson and the rest of the team. Just want to say hi to Paula and the family back home. I'm sure he knows.
He's confused.
What's going on with that?
Look at this. Now, their first guy down low. He's really low in horseshoe. Look at the exit. Watch the heads. Look at the heads. Are pretty good profile there, but you see that double tap. And here's the second pictures of it. First guy to nail the take-on to telephone. You're not happy.
Not at all. Next up is the 30-year-old Latvian Uga Zalims, former brakeman. Started driving back in after the 2010 games.
Talk about 4 drivers. There's 4 decathletes here in this sled. There's some athletes here. 5:18, second best start.
He's progressed. Last year he was 18th here. This year his best result, 5th place in Park City in the 4-man.
Yeah, but as good as they were just now, the start velocity said it wasn't that good. You know, that little curve, you know, race a lot of great athleticism in that first 50 meters, and that little mistake there before the entrance to Snake was, it's going to be a bogey here, and that's not a good sign there.
Dropped from 2nd fastest start to 5th place on the split as he gets down out of Snake.
Now, the Latvian sleds yesterday did not have good speed in the bottom part of the track.
That's a big bump in Shamrock.
They skid there, too.
Skids into Devil's Dyke.
Watch out here.
Down to 6th.
Tree,
And now
bridge.
keeping it straight, leap, and then Gunter Sachs, the final one of the fast four. Long skid down the straight, then he manages to wrinkle back.
He's just falling way off the pace. Latvian sleds not fast in the bottom all week.
Not, are they? They're not hitting those speed numbers. Second fastest start.
These are all Eurotech sleds too, so they're new, they haven't figured them out, tweaked them, they will. They will, just a matter of time.
Well, it's not tweaking the steering or anything else that's limiting their top speed, it's aerodynamics.
But that's another guy that sneaks in front of both British sleds, Cunningham and Spring. So look at these skids up top. This is just tough to get these big buses in trouble, but when you get them into these type of skids,
well, listen, think about our 2-ton German four-wheel drive. The moment you get it on the snow, the thing's sliding around all over the place. Loic Costerg of France. Now, he produced some fast runs in yesterday, day before, only 2 training trips for four-man. 28-year-old from Moutier. Only had 2 four-man races this season, though.
Laplania guy, right?
Yep.
Oh, they're still getting down. Oh, and he's got these
well, another 525.
That's curve 1.
That's your standard middle of the field start, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's better than he used to get. But
no, absolutely.
That might have been a 35 the way he skidded out of the first curve, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's immediately sentenced to 12th best.
And shaking off all that speed.
But we have seen him drive well when he's been on tour. He does have that good eyes and hands. Of course, he's driving something that Bruno Mangion, his coach, tuned up. Mangion is one of the best in the world, and one of the reasons Mangion won a world championships in '99 in a four-man and an Olympic medal in '98 in Nagano. So the French,
getting late.
They are well coached.
And Bruno was always very good at making the sleds work at high speed as well.
Yeah.
Got some great results here.
When you get to be a veteran of the sport, you have the ability to build your own, control your own equipment. That's what you're doing.
Here we go. It wasn't a mistake in training. He really was good.
Fast on the bottom.
10th place run. That's an excellent run.
There's Bruno Mangion, his brakeman Max Robert was the little brakeman on the back of the 2 monsters that he had in the middle of them. 1 year ago right now, exactly to the date, I think we were in Laplania, which is a high-speed track. The Laplania, long, high speed.
That's a good run.
That's great. I mean, he's
really good run.
You know, he had a lot of mistakes here up in the middle part of the track, but you know, we said he's driving a Bruno Mangion tuned piece of equipment, and there's a lot of people would switch up their equipment right now for that piece of equipment because of Bruno Mangion's talents.
A really nice run. So his training times he's managed to replicate, which not everybody has. Well, next up, Jan Vrba of the Czech Republic, 10th place in last year's four-man race in St Moritz for the 34-year-old sports instructor.
Let's see him get in, get down. Little choreography on ice. It's so important to be quick here, and they're still getting in around that first curve.
But they keep it straight somehow.
Yeah, but still, that, you know, 10th best start. And the other guy, the other Czech guy coming up, has got a better start.
Yeah, well, look what the French did off the 525. It's possible to get in the top 10.
Well, maybe everybody's been a snowplow, and now the track's getting a little glistened up here.
Well, that, but also, have you noticed that it's snowing maybe a little less? Or am I just
This is pretty good. Gets good lines there. See if the runner tips here. This is good entry. See an exit.
12th place at Horseshoe.
Ooh, gets through there without tapping.
And good speed, 105.8, that's really good speed.
I think we got a faster track.
Could be another top 10 coming up.
Oh, yeah.
7th place on the split times, Jan Vrba. This could be a sensation.
I think this gives everybody hope that's coming down.
144, great speed as well. This old sled of theirs.
Bang.
Wow, 6th position, 200s behind Kibermanis in 5th.
Hey, they, you know, you got to give them credit. They had the 10th best start. The Czechs have been working hard. It's starting to show. Vrba is a good four-man pilot. We've seen it.
When he's not reversing it off corners.
Oh, listen. Look at here, though. Hey, that's a little low there.
Yeah, and it's
climbing on the exit.
Out, but it puts him in the middle of the track. He hits nothing. carries his
I
speed.
think you're right about the snow. Lesser snowfall.
It just looks lighter. Not everywhere, but it does look lighter.
Way to go, Jan Vrba.
Look at him there on the right-hand side. Big smile. You don't need to take the helmet off to see that. What about Yoon Jung-won of Korea then? 16th here last year, but his progress has been really strong, especially in two-man. He's a World Cup points leader in the two-man, may end up being the World Cup champion.
Most likely will. They haven't got the four-man figured out yet. Start time, 19th best start. He has the third, fifth best starts yesterday in the competition. And with a start, you have a chance. Without a start, you don't have a chance. And he'll figure that out. The Koreans used to be a developmental nation. After the last 2 weeks, the Korean program has arrived. They won the gold medal here in skeleton Friday, first ever historic run. And of course, he won a two-man gold in Whistler 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So we're no longer a development nation.
When they first came to World Cup racing, one was their two-man driver and Dong-Yong Kim was their four-man driver. Now, he's not racing here today, but he's definitely the better of the two in the four-man still.
7,300's back, see if he gets some speed here. A little skid's going to cost him.
16th position, he could well make the second heat. 142.9 at the bottom, and he's in 16th ahead of Jackson and Deen and Cunningham.
Yeah, I got to believe Jackson, Deen, and Cunningham all are threatened to miss the cut. Yeah. I think the track has got a little window of opportunity here for the sleds coming down. There's still some pretty good sleds yet to come.
Yeah.
You hear the push time. First thing they talk about, this is in horseshoe. He's got this thing going, a little bit of a skid. You see him try and get control with the runners. Then this is down out at Gunter Sachs, the speed part where you get close to 88, 89 miles an hour. And hey, you'll figure it out in the four-man, don't worry.
20 sleds down, Germany 1, 2, 3 ahead of Austria's Benny Maier. Jan Vrba a stunning 6th. 20 sleds in, Oskars Kibermanis, last year's two-man, four-man and combined World Cup champion, is perhaps going to struggle to make the cut on a track where he won last year, but the weather
will be in the 20s.
Maybe helping.
There's 20 start from these four wounded athletes. 13! These guys are wounded. I mean, the driver's got a back problem. The number 2 guy's got an Achilles problem, and they just pulled off the best start in the competition. Watch out. The only problem with this is the Latvian sleds don't seem to have good speed in the bottom part of the track.
Well, he doesn't need it perhaps now, because if the snow is lesser, then he'll get more speed.
He's already lost a 10th to Arndt in the first 250 meters.
89.3 kilometers now is great speed.
Low.
But he keeps the speed. Oh, taps there. Is he in 104s or 105s? 106.5. That's top speed so far.
Well, then he's going to eat into it. A little late there. This could be somebody to get in the middle of the 3 Germans that are on top of the leaderboard.
Third place at the moment on the split times, 143.
Should be third, about 41 back. 37. Wow. Wow. Okay. Here's Sanders Bruces, his long-term brakeman Giannis with him. And they like it. So we said that I think there's a window of speed here, but when you come out with the best start time, and these are all wounded. These two, watch. Bobsleigh can barely get out of the sled. Watch. Look how tenderly he gets out of the sled. I mean, he's 80%. Here's up top, or this is on the exit of telephone. That tap there, I don't know how costly that was because the sled came pretty straight. And what I said about the Latvian sleds not maintaining speed in the bottom, look at him look away. Yeah. He's not comfortable.
Yeah, and look at him wincing as well. Yeah.
Look, that's not his gait. That's not the way this 250-pound athlete runs around.
So for Canada, our next sled, Kaylee Humphries. Can she find a way of breaking into the field? Can she take advantage? Although it does look like it's snowing heavier again up at the top of this mountain.
She gets around the start, okay. 22nd best start time, 6/10 back. And 6/10 back on the bottom, put her in 8th.
Bronze medal yesterday in the women's race, won by Alana Myers-Taylor on her return to World Cup action.
Her driving ability,
not in question. Yeah. Chris Spring already out of the race for Canada. Nick Cunningham in 20th place. And Great Britain's John Jackson and Lamin Deen 18th and 19th. On splits, Kaylee Humphries still in 22nd spot. Speed 104.4 is good.
Well, she'll get to the bottom, but she won't be in the top 20. But that start time, just as she has no chance. The four girls there are pushing probably 100-pound heavier sled because of the weight difference. Maximum weight, minimum weight of the sled. But she creates history again by 4 women competing against all the men in the field. And let it go, let it go.
Yeah, get off the race.
Kelly says, don't get a watch out here. Better get out, girls.
Tasha Lee, Cynthia Appia, and Melissa Lottholt. So a different lineup in the braking team. Tasha joining the team for the first race, I think.
A lot of action in that sled to tap out a telephone, and this is down into the fast part of the track where you're trying to get to that 85-mile-an-hour plus speeds.
So 22nd place for Kaylee Humphries, 21st for Chris Spring. 2 Canadian sleds out of the running. Next up is Austria's 24-year-old rookie Lukas Kolb, 4th in 4-man in the Junior Worlds last week. Stefan Lauseger behind him. This is only his 2nd World Cup start in 4-man.
Let's see what these young Austrians can do. I like it. Really good to see the Austrians get back in the mix. 4:35 or 5:35 start speed, not great. So, you know, if this sled is as fast as Benny Maier, who's in 5th, his Austrian teammate, who's, you know, he's got a chance to top 20. He's got to be perfect line, so we can't see any variance here.
Nick Cunningham is the man who will get knocked out first.
I'll watch this crossover here. Nice.
Currently still in 22nd place.
Back end of the sled. Always got to drift into the horseshoe straight away.
19th, he's in the race. Cunningham's out. 105.2, good speed.
He's coming on too. He could get to 17th or 18th.
Yep.
Yeah, he's moving.
14th place on splits. Here
Austrian sleds are flying on this track here in St Moritz.
And his lines are good as well. If he avoids a skid, he could be challenging the top 12.
He's in the top 10.
Wow, another great run, like Benny Maier. He's more experienced teammate. Wow, what a run. 7th place.
Shocking.
Manfred Maier.
And the start time. That's what's shocking about it, is his start was, you know, the 22nd best start.
He gave away 2100s at the top. He's only 65 back at the bottom. Maier is 5th. Kolb is 7th.
Well, whatever, let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of people taking a look at these 2 Austrian sleds when they go back to the top of the track. This is pretty shocking. Drift into the horseshoe, but he corrects it well. And boy, he must have had something right. Do you think they got the good runners on? You think they got some equipment?
Listen. If you want to know what's happening with the Austrian sleds, 2 words: Wolfgang Stampfer.
But he's the coach of the Swiss.
Look at, yeah, it doesn't matter. Look at any race here, and look at where Wolfgang Stampfer's speeds were at the bottom. He's always had his sleds at the top of the pile.
Oh,
well, next up, here we go, the 18, Billy Meyerhans with Nikolai Ekimov, Marcel Dobler, and Marcus Groening, their 3rd World Cup 4-man race of the season. Didn't do 2-man yesterday. Simone Bertazzo rented his sled.
That's a pretty good start. Now watch out here. This 48 years young driver, who's staying in our hotel. We've had a couple good conversations with him. And boy, has he got the bobsled bug.
So on the bubble at the moment is Lamin Deen. He is 20th. Cunningham, Spring are both out of the race. 21st place at the moment, off 21st place start, but as we saw from the Austrians, if you can keep your speed here below horseshoe, things can happen. Here we go, into horseshoe. Nice line from Billy Meyerhans.
500s, he's still at 21. Tap there, that shouldn't cost him too much, but he can't afford any mistakes down here.
He needs
He's in 20th, he's in the mix, here he comes.
In the zone, here we go.
High speed, he gets 142.5, he'll be in the, he'll make it.
It's clean,
143.7 is big speed.
Could be edging up towards the top 15. This could keep him in the race. 15th place, he's in front of Holcomb.
There's Stauffer in the middle, Thomas Lamparter on the right. Stauffer, the Austrian, who was so meticulous in the way he built equipment. We were having a glass of milk with him last night, and we heard a few secrets. And you know, he's a meticulous sled builder. He coaches the Swiss, but he still lends out equipment to sells equipment to other teams like the Austrians.
Well, Billy was showing us he's got a purpose-built start track, a full start track at his house, and he also has an indoor 60-meter sprung running track. That's how seriously he takes this business. Dominik Dvorak, now here is another one who could be real trouble for John Jackson of Great Britain, who lies in 20th, because Dvorak, in the final day of training, which was the only four-man day, was also producing great speed, like Loic Kosterg, like Benny Maier. Just 23, this student from Prague, bronze medalist in the Junior Worlds in four-man, holds the skid.
Decent start, like his teammate.
He's got every chance of a 5:23. That's 12th fastest start.
Look at the snow, though. They just went through a bit of a snowbank. Look how that look of his eyes. What a great shot.
So where is he on the splits? At the next clock.
12th.
Out of Snake and heading down to Sunny, 19th position. He's still in the race.
Pretty impressive start times he had in the two-man yesterday.
Now, if he can avoid a skid and get a good exit out of Horseshoe, John Jackson is history. And he is still in the race, 19th place.
Good tap there. Hard tap, too.
But no skidding. This is quite a nice-looking run, still smooth.
He's back out of the race, though.
21st.
That's really light there.
That may have saved John Jackson's bacon at the moment.
97.
141.3, that's not bad speed, but it's not enough. 21st, 22nd place at the line, 23rd. Slipped down behind Nick Cunningham, so Jackson hangs on.
12th best start time, then he gets 23rd at the bottom, so that's called driving. But this young, promising Czech pilot, let's give him a little light here. I think this guy's got some talent, because his start is there. If you have that start, you can improve. And he's got the start. Look at this. This is late here. And when those, watch, the real late is right here, though. He went 3 corners late, and it finally caught up to him. He taps here. That pushes him into the middle part of the next curve, and then this shows a little late again.
Now, didn't do the Europa Cup race last week because he was in the Junior Worlds getting his bronze medal. He's got lots of experience still to gain, but the potential is definitely there. Potential, too, for Ivo de Bruin, the 29-year-old Dutchman, now lives in Calgary. Running this team on a shoestring.
What a sled they got here.
It's a Eurotech.
This is one of the old Van Cocker sleds, you think?
He's had 2 World Cup races in full-man, 19th and 18th in Park City.
25th best start. It means he has to take this orange and white sled to the bottom in a perfect line. Nice sound.
89.9, not bad speed. Is it enough to get him into the top 20, though? At the moment, he's in 25th on the split times.
It's not going to help. It needs to be perfect. The speed's available in the bottom part of the track, as we saw with that other Austrian sled. But
107.8 is very good speed out of Devil's Dyke.
He's way off the pace, though.
Still in 25th position. Even if he gets 145s here, it's not going to be enough. 142, 2 kilometers.
Ooh, late there, but boy, the
25th at the line, and not in the second heat.
Well, the Dutch Olympic Committee's got to look at this guy. He's got talent. We saw it a couple years ago. They got to get a little more support so they can be competitive.
Yeah, they started 5:47, 25th start, but it was 33 hundredths behind before he even sat down.
Yeah, and a couple years ago, he was very promising. He had good athletics, he had good start times, and it's about training. And here, though, this is hit at the high-speed part of the track. That wasn't too costly. But here, this is late. This is off Portago, Martineau curve, and he hit the wood.
Completely on the wrong side of the track.
Ivo, if you get some more money, you got a chance.
3 to go here in St Moritz. Next up is Thomas Heibel from Norway, the 25-year-old ex-motocrosser. 3 of these guys come from the same tiny village, Kufel. And Bretman, Alexander Winger from Oslo. Made their debut in Koenigsegg in the 4-man race. 5:33. See, the Dutch started 47, so we already still 1400s in front of the Dutch sled.
50 velocity. Look at him keep looking down. I don't know what that was there, but 50 velocity was excellent for that start.
Nice smooth run. Could see him in the race at the expense of John Jackson of Great Britain, who's on the bubble. 25th place.
His grandfather, famous German bobsledder.
Thomas and his brother were born in Germany.
He was high there. Right about the place where they start.
Yep. Building experience for the team as they come along. Raced in the Europa Cup. Now making a couple of World Cup forays back up to 24th place. And they're not going to overhaul anybody in the top 20 at the moment. 2 more sleds to challenge.
There's only 1500s behind Cunningham.
Yeah.
And Lamin Deen.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's John Jackson.
200s behind.
He's only 2500s behind John Jackson.
I know.
You know, so.
Quarter of a second out of the race.
That's not bad. These kids get a little support. They could.
Bit more experience.
Ooh, high
nice
line.
High line.
Horseshoe.
Did he nail the exit?
Yeah.
Hey, good. So Thomas Heibel fails to make the cut. 2 more sleds, and this one could be a problem. Oh, hang on a minute. No Matias Lutti. So we go straight to Edson Bindliati of Brazil. The team from Sao Paulo, the hometown of Ayrton Senna, the legendary Grand Prix driver. And Bindliati started back in 1999. So he has 3 times represented Brazil in the Olympics. 2002, 2010, and 2014.
These guys are well-schooled, well-drilled. Joe Manning's done a great job.
5:27, that's not a bad getaway, is it?
These are 4 very impressive-looking athletes when they come in for headshots. I mean, they're all 6'2", 6'3". They all got that track and field build, but they put some weight on, and, you know, this is a BTC's 4-man.
Coached by Joe Manning, as you said, and Nicky Minicello, the former women's world champion. 25th position off a 21st start.
Doesn't compete in 2-man, which to me is a disadvantage.
Especially this week, because it means he's only had 2 practice trips. I couldn't tell you the last time he was on this ice.
Good lines.
Yeah, nice smooth-looking run. He may have gone for a runner choice for control.
Yeah, he's smooth, and these are good driving. 24th. 24th, 122 out. Considering he's, you know, he's only 800s behind Cunningham. He's only 1400s behind Lamin Deen, and John Jackson still hanging in there. And he's in. John Jackson's in.
Ahead of Chris Spring.
Yeah, ahead of Chris Spring.
John Jackson in 20th place makes the cut. 800s behind him. Lamin Deen does not. And that is our 28th and final sled in the first of our 2 heats.
Look
Very
at the
low
runners.
there.
Yeah, look how a lot of pressure there, a lot of steering. You saw him come back to neutral, but that's too much steering. He'll learn. It's not the person that drives the most that wins. It's the person who drives the least.
There, I think he was fearing the woodwork.
Yeah.
And he was barely above Goma Lloyd's ashes down there in Horseshoe. Well, there's Edson Bindliati. Brazilians spent Christmas in Sheffield in Yorkshire.
And these guys spent it in Bavaria. And Max Arndt, the world champion from this track in 2013, comes out with the 2nd best start time of the competition and flies down the track. He's got a 2800ths lead, which is normally an eternity of time in the sport. But this race isn't over. It was a very great first heat, and Mother Nature could have a hand in the results of this race.
Yeah, might do. Yes. I think that's guaranteed. Max Arndt leads Nico Walter. Oskars Kibermanis crept into third ahead of Francesco Friedrich with Benny Maier. Standout run from him and Lucas Kolb and Jan Vrba. And some really impressive stuff. Look at Loic Kosteg in 13th, Billy Meyerhans 15th, and then clinging on at the bottom, Holcomb, Cripps, Zalims 1, and Jackson. Lamin Deen, Nick Cunningham doesn't make the cut. Chris Spring doesn't make the cut.
Max Arndt, though.
Time to fuel up Maxi and get ready to go out and try and win another four-man race. He's only had one victory this season in Lake Placid, but he's never been off the podium. So who will come out on top? Who will the weather gods favour? Only one way to find out. Join John and myself as we get ready to go for the second heat live at midday in 24 minutes time, 22 minutes time. That's 11 a.m. GMT. Till then, from St Moritz, goodbye for now.